Hey everyone, Action here! So today we'll be testing out the most absurd build I have come up with. As a matter of fact, one of you guys decided to test it out on our Discord server, and then we came upon this monstrosity of a build. Later on into the game, we'll be able to reach over 150,000 research in one single planet. It gets kinda ridiculous. I covered it all in one tutorial, but I was a little skeptical about doing a playthrough with this, as I was thinking that the devs would change it, perhaps establishing a planetary limit to the amount of Nanite research facilities you can have on your planets. But, well, today they released the patch notes actually buffing the Nanite research builds, so yeah, if they were gonna change it, I think they would already change it, so perhaps this build is actually intended to work like this, so we'll try our best to replicate what we did in the tutorial, but in a massive scale. So talking about the build itself, well, we'll be going for the Nanite ascension, and the reason we'll achieve so much productivity is in the combination of the Nanite research facilities with the Rook Servitor job efficiencies. So obviously we're gonna need the Rook Servitor to make this build work, and if we pair this with the Genesis Architects, we'll have a massive amount of biotrophies, because what this civic does is every time we establish a colony, we'll gain plus 300 pre-sapient pops, which then can be uplifted to become biotrophies. I know this sounds a little bit much, however, my friends, it actually works quite a lot, because every time we uplift the population, we'll have massive amounts of unity gains and also pretty high bonuses to our colonies. On top of that, we'll have a modifier reducing our terraforming cost and terraforming speed. We are obviously gonna be the machine intelligence, and for this tech build, it is completely broken the ruler skill level, reducing our empire size from pops by minus 3%. Later on into the game, we can optimize all of our empire size from pops to achieve something like minus 87% empire size from them. It gets kinda insane. I don't know if we could achieve minus 100%, but we'll try our best. On top of that, we get some colony development speed, which is good, monthly mechanical pop assembly helping out our main species, and a little bit of bonuses towards our mining stations. Regarding our main species traits, we have gone with pretty standard picks, with the exception of the sociology core. In order for us to uplift our species, we need to have the Epigenic Triggers technology, which is a very expensive one in the society tech tree. So by buffing up our biologists, we'll have a better chance at finishing it up before we establish our first colony even. We're also gonna have the research assistants to boost our research a little bit further. Now regarding our origin, it is pretty crucial for this build for you to pick the Remnants for a couple of reasons. The main one is that you'll have the Faculty of Archaeostudies, which basically give us plus 2 society from our biologist drones right at the start of the game, so you'll actually have a massive amount of society efficiency. On top of that, we'll have a size 22 relic world. Now the regular capital world is a size 18, and this relic world can be transformed on an archaeology, in other words an ecumonopolis, which is fantastic for our build. Later on we'll have some modifiers to our colonies that will greatly help out our early game, but I will talk about them when we get there. Now the biotrophies, my friends, here is where things get a little bit interesting as well. We have gone with the lovely mushrooms, and they are an invasive species. Now this trait is perhaps kinda garbage if you look at this in the first. However, it is quite broken for the Rook Servitors, because biotrophies, my friends, they do not generate any kind of leaders, so we can pick up a lot of negative traits from leaders, and also repugnant, because biotropes, they don't produce any amenities. It's basically a free pick. And with the invasive species, every negative trait will give us plus 5% habitability and pop growth, so with this build, we already have plus 20% of each right at the start of the game. It is pretty amazing. And finally, as our ruler, we're gonna be a scientist with Spark of Genius, obviously. This way we can tech rush a little bit better at all stages in the game. You could go for the official one, it is quite good as well, but well, we'll be trying our best to maximize our research. High Command calls out for 5,000 commanders to replenish our ranks after the recent losses. Our navy needs you, Commander, to help us fight the countless enemies that threatens our own existence. Enlist today and be a part of something greater. As for our game settings, we'll basically have everything set to normal, with the exception of the crisis strength set to maximum and all crisis types, as we usually do. So one thing that it is very important for you to keep in mind is that we are running with the regular tech costs and also the regular difficulty adjusted technology cost, so this playthrough will actually reflect all of your games if you're playing on the default costs. So let's get started. So here we are. Oh boy, we already found a hostile enemy. Alright, that does not look good on Renter Mario. Oh, and I think it is both of our habitable worlds. Let me just check that out. Desert World and Desert World. This is one of the very good starts we have. Perhaps it is even better than the previous start we have, where we found the matter decompressor just 2 systems away from our capital. So with this build, what we're gonna focus on is colonizing most of the planets nearby and also increasing our society research. So for the technologies, we focus basically on the economy side of things and also focus on the xenobiology, since it will increase our biologist efficiency by +1 research for every 100 of them. We set the production policy to manufacturing to improve our complex drone output, also set up a diplomatic stance to isolationists so we can have more traditions and improve our overall economy. Set borders to close because that's my go-to in most games. We set up a little bit of trade so we can have more buildings and also fix up our energy credit production, because with the Remnants what we have is a +2 energy credits per archaeo engineer. So it gets kinda insane their upkeep, that's why we need to focus a little bit on the energy side. Our first construction will be a generator district, because the Genesis Arc, they actually consume quite a lot of energy to construct them, and our energy is gonna be consumed a lot from our biologists. Our first tradition could be expansion, but now that the devs change it and we no longer get +1 pop when establishing colonies and instead +1 urban districts, we can actually grab the statecraft, which would be our main go-to since we want to level up our council, because machine councillors are very OP. As you can see, all of their bonuses are very important to our economy. Our second construction will be a research lab, because we want to improve our society research. As you can see, we're already producing 48 in comparison to all of the other tech fields sitting at only 16. After we launch the Infinite Opportunities agenda, we move on into finding the voice to improve our unity output in order to finish up our traditions and speed up our research. Now before we finish up the research lab, we actually deprioritize some jobs, because when this building is finished, all of these complex drones will be immediately employed, and in the current patch, if we have unemployed drones, they actually take quite a while to occupy jobs unless we finish up the research building first. So let's see, and bam. None of them is stayed unoccupied for a very long time. Regarding our traditions, usually I go and grab another one after I picked these 3 perks from the statecraft. However, in this build, since we are tech rushing in order to have the Epigenic Triggers first, I will actually finish up the statecraft so we can grab the technological ascendancy. Our third building in the Remnants planet will be an ally foundry, because we want to be producing a lot of colony ships, because look at how many planets we have nearby, and that is with only 1 times habitable planets. Here is what I was talking about before regarding the Remnants origin. So both of our colonies will have the colonial remains, reducing our building cost by -25%, which is fantastic since in the early game our mineral production is very bad. We can remove the unsupervised settlement on our capital, creating 100 pobs, and we need to do this so we can build another city district, because well, after we build 3 of our buildings, the best one to have would be a city district, which will provide you with some biotrophy jobs, because by the time you reach this point into the game, we will start having some neglected biotrophies, which greatly reduce our stability on the planet. So you ideally want to build something for them to occupy. However, the organic sanctuary provides them with 1,500 jobs, is quite a lot, and the city district only provides with 200, which is more fitting. Now that we finished the statecraft tradition, we go ahead and we grab the technological ascension ascendancy as planned. As our next tradition, we should start looking out for our economy at this point, so we'll grab domination for a couple of reasons. First, their agenda is fantastic. As you can see, it provides us with plus 15% resources from jobs after we launch it on all of our planets. Very soon we'll be finishing the Finding the Voice agenda, so we'll be able to start making progress towards the civil exclusion. Another reason is that it provides us with some deviancy on our planets. However, at this early into the game, deviancy is pretty minimal, so it's not really a problem for us. On top of that, it synergizes quite well with the statecraft, since we get plus 20% Counselor EXP gained from this one, and also a couple of benefits to our manual drone output, which is very good since our economy is pretty trash in the basic resource department, but in the other department is going quite well. So after we establish our colonies, you'll see that we'll have the Genesis projects, and this gives us plus 5% project towards the technology on top of a little bit of influence and unity. So very good bonuses. And on top of that, we start with 300 pre-sapients we can uplift. On our capital, we are building the xenobiological lab, which will improve our society research output, and we already start making progress towards Epigenic Triggers. However, it's gonna take almost 10 years for it to finish. Let us see, after we build the xenobiological lab, how fast we can research it. Now it reduced to only 52 months, basically half the time, and we also got the colonial remains for our second colony, which reduces the building cost as well. If you look at our society tag and the other ones, it is quite funny. Basically 100 from society and only 10 for the other ones. Now we launch the Finding the Voice agenda, and bam, some of our leaders already leveled up, and we pick the civil exclusion agenda as planned. Another colony established. This one gave us 1000 unity and 50 influence on top of a little bit more progress towards the same technology. Now we finally finished the Epigenic Triggers only 10 years into the game, so very good progress, and we can start uplifting our precious pre-sapients. So it's only gonna take 21 months to uplift these little fellas right here, and I'm gonna choose them because we are just building up an organic sanctuary, which will have plenty of jobs for our biotrophies. Just like that, we completed our first Genesis uplift. With this we gain 3000 unity and also the Genesis monument to Alpha Centauri Prime, increasing our unity from jobs by 25% and actually granting us some archaeoengineering unit jobs, and those jobs will actually scale up our society research, making it quicker for us to uplift more pre-sapient pops. With this unity gain, we also finished up our second tradition already, 12 years into the game, and as our second ascension perk we will grab Imperial Prerogative, because with the Nanite empire size from colonies reduction, we will reach minus 100% empire size from them, which is kinda OP. This also put us back below the 100 empire size limit, so we won't be getting any negative effects from it. As for our third tradition, it will be the last one before we Nanite ascend, so let's grab Discovery so we can survey the universe better and also boost up our tech output a little bit further. Another uplift completed, plus 3000 unity and a little bit of bonuses, fantastic. We launched the Civil Exclusion agenda, giving us plus 15% resources from jobs, and the next one will be the Departmental Efficiency to improve our Counselor EXP and later on their effective skill level. Hello Commander, if you're enjoying my content, please consider being a part of our higher ranks and financially supporting the growth of our navy. Depending on your contribution, you'll have access to different sections of our military, being able to command an entire fleet and up to a whole sector in our live streams. That will happen almost every weekend. With every contribution, the Empire grows stronger, and you, Commander, will help us shape the future of our universe. Another one uplifted. You get the idea, it is kinda broken. This uplift actually granted us 4000 unity, so it scales up a little bit over time. So 20 years into the game and we finished the Discovery tradition, which means we can grab the Synthetic Age Ascension perk and already start making progress towards our Nanite Ascension. So far we are only producing society research, however we are making such a huge progress towards our traditions that it is quite bonkers. Obviously, it's gonna take a while for us to pick the next perk. However, we do have a lot of habitable planets nearby, which we can start building up more Genesis arcs and take them out. We are currently building a little bit of a fleet to take out the Lone Defender, since it is blocking a tomb world, and with the Genesis arc it does not matter which type of planet, because every time you colonize them you'll have a pre-sapient species with the corresponding preference for that planet. And every time we colonize one planet we gain around 1 to 2,000 unity from just colonizing it, and after we uplift the species we gain a lot more. So these traditions right here, we're gonna basically speed through it before we even finish the situation. However, that's gonna be left for the next video, everyone. I hope you guys enjoyed today's one, and as always, I will see you guys next time.